Okay, so we got this, just as a random reminder to everyone, these meetings get recorded. It's going to be put on our blog today. It's going to be put on our login private section of the page. We repurpose the content. In short, while I want to be respectful of your ideas and your corporate secrets and your viewpoints, remember the internet is a very, very funny place where things happen. You know, I was explaining to an older woman here, she's in her 90s, who felt that, you know, the internet is some fad. I'm like, no, I don't think it's a fad. I think we've gone beyond the fad mode here. But okay, enough with that. Apex predator mindset. When you think apex predator, Greg, what do you think? I got a mid bite.
Um,
Hmm.
Lion.
Lion, great. Okay. Anyone else, Paula? When you think apex predator, what do you think? You're muted. Uh-oh.
I have no idea, honestly.
No idea. Okay. So just to give everyone the definition of and why I actually picked the topic here. An apex predator is a predator that has no further predator, that there isn't something that's going to threaten it and kill it. Humans are an apex predator. It doesn't mean that you can't be eaten by a lion. A killer whale is an apex predator. It's considered at the absolute top of their food chain. And I use that as kind of a visualization because all of us see people in real estate that are the apex predators. They're able to consistently do so well. And they consistently, you know, and they even go to the point of, I don't want to say breaking the law, but breaking the rules. Arnold Schwarzenegger famously said, break the rules, not the law. And I kind of agree. I kind of agree. Now, what does that mean? Does it mean be unfair? No, it doesn't mean be unfair. If somebody said to me, well, I left my listing on the MLS as active instead of active under contract for an extra 5 days, in the scheme of things, I don't think that that person was really breaking the law or doing anything that bad. Indeed, if they don't do it in many markets, their competitors will. So you need to actually make a moral and legal choice for yourself. Nothing here in our meetings is going to talk about breaking the laws or the rules for that matter. It's just an expression of opinions of what it's going to take for you to close and get more business. Apex predator mindset. So, you know, with that said, who wants to have a go at, you know, maybe a story of a neighbor or, sorry, not a neighbor, a competitor that's actually that type of thing, that's that type of apex predator. I hope John Baton comes to today because we talked about a competitor of his yesterday when I was chatting with him. But it would be great to hear from all of you. You know, actually, before I go any further, I'll pick on Paul up for a second. You run an office, you see a lot of brokers. You know, now that I've kind of given the definition, anybody resonate with you as an apex predator?
Definitely the
Oh,
person that used to sit in this seat. And she retired,
okay.
and the office was changed over to a different office, but she had that mindset for sure. You know,
Yeah.
where she was kind of like bending the rules a little bit. Excuse me. So breaking the rules, I don't really know in depth of whether she did or not, but she definitely bent the rules.
Yeah. Listen, any one of you who's cold called, I'll argue that it's absolutely impossible to cold call without breaking a rule. I mean, just every phone is is on the do not call list. So you have that. Once again, it's I'm not advocating for it. I'm really not. What I am saying is that those you've got plenty of competitors out there that will. And it's going to have to be up to you to decide the risk reward spectrum. Everything in real estate really rides on a spectrum. And if you really take a close look at that, you know, Paula, you said the woman who sat in the seat. So tell everyone who you are and where you are first.
My name is Paula Anaruma. I'm with Remax Team, and I've been in the business over 40 years. So seen a lot of different types of real estate come and go and trends and all that. But a specific example of what she used to do was she had a big team behind her. They
Okay.
got absolutely no credit for the sales end of the listing, which is, you know, like why would people do it? They're getting the money. I guess they're not there for the fame, but whatever. She was able to control her team. But she also labeled her selling agents buyer specialists.
Okay.
Now, if you're representing a seller and they're going in and they're showing her listings. How do you say,
Sorry, we got a little feedback from some people here. Go ahead, Paula.
yeah, I was going to say, how do you say, a lot of people in the industry were like looking at her like, how do you call them buyer specialists? That's not really cool because you're supposed to be representing, it's all about representation in New York and you have to disclose and all that stuff. But that was really um, something that she got away with. And it was very much on the, the edge of, is that legal?
By calling, so let me back up. By calling her agents that worked under her, buyer's agents, buyer
Buyers
specialists, that's a violation of a realtor's code or
could be construed that way
yeah,
because if you're representing the seller and those agents are going and showing her listing, what do they put on? Again, it's all about the disclosure form. How are they filling out the disclosure form? Are they confusing the public or the consumer or the buyer saying, I'm a buyer specialist? You're really still working for the seller. Everybody in the office is supposed to be the fiduciaries to the seller.
sure. Okay. Listen, and she never got into trouble.
Not that I know of.
Okay. So there you have it. I mean, I personally have much less of a problem with somebody putting on their business card or however they're promoting it, buyer specialist, than the volume of agents that simply don't know what the fuck they're doing. I'm sorry. It's just we just have so many people who are so clueless. Aton's probably grimacing right now because he had to talk with me about my potty mouth. But that said, I want to just emphasize that point that so it's an interesting one. Anything else, Paula, that before I pick on John in a second, John's
No,
eyes.
that was just something that popped into my head because, it's so close to home here, being the way she operated. And there's a few others that still do it. Um, but there's a lot that goes on in my area here that's so it's just rampant disregard for laws and rules in New York,
Yeah.
specifically
Oh,
the area. Let me
I,
get a
I think it's everywhere. John Baton, I just want to pick on you for a second. You are looking tan and great, my man. No dead birds behind you today. That's good.
Nope,
He's
fresh out of the water.
fresh out of, okay, you got that high pro glow. I love that. Um, we spoke yesterday. First of all, before I'll let you introduce yourself in a second, who you are and where you are. But we spoke yesterday about a competitor of yours. Please let her remain nameless. We're talking about the apex predator mindset here and how people are actually going out and they might be pushing the limits of the rules of real estate in accordance with the Realtors Association. They may be pushing the rules of even in some cases the law. And I had just said famously, Arnold Schwarzenegger had made a statement: break the rules, not the law. I was just hoping that you might A, introduce yourself, and B, unpack a little bit about some of the people you've run into who really skate along the edge of rules in real estate.
Yeah, so my name is John Bainton, and I've been a realtor for, gosh, like 13 years or so. And I am here in Fairfield County, Connecticut. I live in Rowayton. It's a small little seaside village. But my market is mostly lower Fairfield County, and I service like Darien and Norwalk and Westport, some of the key towns that you may have heard of before. But yeah, so I really avid outdoors person in addition to being a realtor. So I just got out of the water. I was surfing with some friends this morning, so kind of made this meeting, and I'm happy to see all you here. Um, Back to your question about the apex predator in our territories. Yeah, I just definitely think some people like, I mean, I am very much a word of mouth realtor. I don't spend really much money in marketing. I really rely heavily on my reputation and my experience that, gets passed along from, household to household. And there are some other realtors that operate in my same very competitive territory because we've, rather high price point in our market. And they don't have the established relationships that some of us may have, and they haven't lived in town for as long as many of us have. And so they really go a full-on sales approach, and basically, that they will do whatever it takes to get the listing. And that they're not shy of putting things forward and trying to get the sellers to commit, and they will just say whatever they think that needs to be said to get the seller to sign a listing contract or a buyer to move forward with them. And it's, some of it's like Edmund pointed out, can be unethical, and is just, telling people what they want to hear and not really giving them good professional advice. And that's something that I really struggle with. I don't feel comfortable doing that. And I know I lose deals because of it.
Sure. And that's one of the reasons I like you so much. We really do think along the same lines. And we also once talked, I don't know if you remember, about a year ago, about how do I raise morally correct children in a world that's largely immoral. And the short answer is, I say this about cycling. I don't know if anybody's watched the Tour de France and all of this. They're estimating that everybody that wins the Tour de France is likely doping. That's come up over and over and over again, that they're actually using performance enhancement drugs. That's why so many of them have been absolutely busted. So what do you do? What do you do if you want to compete and you've got the other people that are just purely bending the rules? To me, once again, I don't want any of you to go beyond this, but I think you have to have a meaningful conversation of what is actually out there. And I haven't seen too many forums like this that are actually boldly saying this is what's going out there. How far up to the line can you really go in the name of business? And I throw that out to any one of you. Paula, you could jump in as well again. And I'm not saying that you would do it. I'm saying how far could you go up to the line? Any thoughts on that, Paula, maybe?
Yeah, well, one of the things that we struggle with here is completely off the record, but a lot of the agents are taking money on the side, taking their commissions in cash. So it has really created an environment where, and again, August 17th, everything's going to change. Yes, yes, yes. So we've been struggling with this for over 10 years where, if you were going to get paid by a buyer, you're supposed to let the seller know that you're getting compensated, but they'll take our commission that we're offering and get an envelope full of cash. I've been offered many, many bribes and say, no, I work for the seller. You have to understand that you sign a paper that says that. So it's out of control.
Okay.
What market are you in?
Fairfield County. I'm just kidding.
Oh, yeah.
John, my son.
I haven't gotten an envelope of cash offered to me yet.
Yeah, no, they offer it all the time. I'll give you $5,000 in cash if you can help me get this house. I'm like, see that person over there? I work for that person. So yeah, it's crazy. Essentially what you described, John, was they sort of buy the listing. I think they're giving them numbers.
No, I mean, yeah, exactly. Like someone says, oh, I want $3.2 million for my house, and it's really worth 2.8 or 2.9. And I always just say, like, there's only one way to get to the above market price, and that's to market it properly at the right price. And that's obviously my strategy, but some people don't want to hear that, and some people don't want to take the risk of possibly underpricing their homes, even though that we all kind of know that that's not really a risk. But it's just, they just kind of beat along the drum of what the seller wants to hear. They tell them, oh, you can do this, you can do that. Yes, of course. I'll take a lower commission and I'll sell for a higher price and all sorts of things. And that's just not how I operate. So
yeah.
And I hate the over promising and under delivering. I'd rather under promise and over deliver.
Sure. And I think that's the way that it should. So any one of you, if you have a buyer for me.
Yeah.
Right? Actually, we got a couple of them here. Okay. So you two could have
Is that from your last transaction, Edmund?
They just throw buckets of money at us at Boca Raton. This actually is, if you want to get something fun, it's for some of my videos. It's fake. It's from Amazon, and you could buy like $1,000, like 10 of these wrapped fake $100 bills for $20. And so
and then you have to get the machine that the electronic
that counts it out.
No, that doesn't count it. But actually, like, you can shoot the money at, like,
you like a t-shirt cannon, right? Like
it's like doing like throwing your money out.
Yeah, that's it, because that's all we do as realtors. We just bank this cash. It's all.
Yeah, you make so much money. You just can spread the love and
I dive into a pool of money, lighting a cigar with $100 bills. That's just it. People think that, and that's something that we have to that we all have to get over. Who else? I'm going to open this up. I want to keep it going with anybody who wants to, but really the objective of this meeting is to find out how far is too far. I honestly believe people giving cash when they shouldn't. That's something that is both a violation of the Realtors Code of Ethics. I believe Article 12. I could be wrong, but we could look that up. and that at least in the state of Florida, we have the what an organization called FREC, which is the Florida Real Estate Commission, and they have the ability to suspend you for 10 years without any court or without anything else. They also have the ability to report you to the DBPR, Department of Business and Professional Relations, and it's a, I believe, third-degree felony, which can carry with it a 6-month jail sentence. So we're gone way beyond where I was going to go. We went from leaving something on as active on the MLS for a couple of extra days to taking bribes, and that's a big thing. I mean, has anyone run into absolute crime in their travels? Has anyone noticed that? And I throw that out to Greg, Jamie, Aton, anyone who hasn't participated yet. It would be great. Sorry about that, Randy. You just have to unmute yourself and talk, maybe, kind of, sort of.
I'm going to talk. I sit on my state's professional standards committee, which adjudicates issues like what you just described. So I can't go into the details. I'm not supposed to anyway. But I have seen more than one, not only a violation of the code of ethics, but a violation of the law. We consider it from a real estate or association perspective, but then we refer it off to the solicitor or the attorney general,
Okay.
the appropriate jurisdiction.
Is it happening a lot?
So I've been part of the committee for 2 years now, and I don't see all the cases. We're kind of picked. We're not allowed to hear a case in our own association. So I'm part of the Charleston Trident Association of Realtors. So if there's a case coming out of my association, I'm not allowed to be on the panel. But I've seen two in 2 years that got referred for criminal prosecution.
And do you know what happened ultimately?
I don't. I do know that we took their license, a permanent revocation of the practice, to practice real estate. But beyond that, I don't know what the criminal repercussions were.
Okay. Well, it's and what made you get involved in that area within your realtors board?
Because I think I'm kind of like John Baden, that I believe that that we are a professional organization, a profession, and we should act accordingly. And I it just gets under my skin when people give us all a bad reputation. And there's some bad actors right here where I am, some
Sure.
apex predators, if you will, that they're still flying under the radar, but I don't believe that'll be forever.
Sure. Absolutely. Look, to repeat, this is not about breaking the rules or breaking the law. I don't want you to do that. I want you to get the mindset of one that does. I think that there's a very big distinction there, that you need to know exactly what you're dealing with, because we see these sharks all the time. Dina, chime in on this. We see sharks, right? Maybe, kind of, sort of. She never.
I get it. Here we go. Sorry, I was trying to unmute. Yes, we see a lot of sharks. We see a lot of people who are willing to bend the rules at the very least. And it makes it difficult when you're trying to stay on the straight and narrow path, and you end up looking like the fool because they're willing to push those boundaries, whether it's showing things before they're active, or we have a new listing coming on where I've been approached now 5 different ways saying, can you just maybe give me a preview, get me in? But I'm like, and I know that there are people who would.
Plenty. And that's the thing.
It's kind of like the girls don't like the good guys. Like sometimes girls like bad boys, and I hate to draw that, I'm sure it goes reverse, right? But it's like, sometimes being the good guy, you get not rewarded by, not being as pushy and not being as harsh and cutting edge.
That was me in college. I was the good guy. One girl was mad about her, was just, it would say, "Oh, this guy's so terrible. How come I can't meet someone like you, but not you?" I didn't know what that was. I
You
didn't know
got the
what it
shoulder
was.
to cry on, but
Yeah, no, whatever. I got more game as I got older. But the point, not that I've got much game now. Dana will argue with that. I don't have much game. But yeah, I think that's it's what I want to find out from everyone is how far was too far? Have you been involved in any deals where you were just like, wow, that was just way beyond? You can't go too far without knowing where the limit is. And I think that if for those that do choose to focus on pushing the limits, which in many cases you need to do to get business, you need to know how far is too far. I mean, that's just, again, nobody's running a forum like this to have this conversation. Everyone's too scared. They're too scared to make it. And I'm saying right now, we are not endorsing that. I think you do need to be aware of it, though. And I think it is something that you need to do and make like a choice. Going back to the do not call list, anyone who's made cold phone calls, if you use Voxy, what is it? Vortex? What's the
Red X,
Red
Red
X?
X.
Thank you. Somebody saved me with the Red X. So if you use Red X, you're gonna be breaking the rules, guys, and you got to decide. And in the state of Florida, there could be an $11,000 fee from the state and a $10,000 fee from the federal government. That said, I've yet to meet a single agent who's ever paid that. Has anyone ever met anyone who got dinged? Paula, that's a good question for you. Anybody ever?
No, I've never heard of a fine being given out. I don't think the Department of State is really going after anyone. Uh,
Has anyone been sanctioned by or had a grievance filed against them by the Realtors Association for doing that?
no, I did hear one lady that I know from the neighborhood that her agent sent out the postcard. We don't have a cease and desist for postcards and mailings anymore, but at one time we did, and the broker got the $500 fine, and the agent was already gone. So
Yeah.
she had to defend herself. I don't know what the outcome was, but I
Okay.
heard of a story this week from my office manager, and she was telling me that one of the locals in my area here
Mm-hmm.
is going around trying to get sellers to cancel their listings with current listing broker,
Mm-hmm.
and she's offering them $1,000 cash.
Wow.
I said, that's amazing.
Wow.
But
Oh my goodness, that's worthy of a good smack in the nose.
I'm telling you, so
Oh,
how do you prove this? You need here we need we need undercover people. I don't know how you prove any of this stuff. You can't. You really can't.
yeah.
But this is what some of these people are doing, and many of them that are competitors of mine in this neighborhood, I've heard that they go so far as, I mean, it's happened, of course, you hear it. They're talking shit about other agents and other brokers. Don't go with that person because they're this or they're that. Happens all the time.
Yeah, that's pretty remarkable. Just a footnote for everyone here. Wednesday, July 31st, holy cow, it's the end of the month. 9 a.m. We have ChatGPT with MLS data for real estate market analysis. We need to change the name of that topic, Daniel. It's very wordy and sounds silly, but it is a good topic. In other words, we are talking about going through MLS data with ChatGPT and all the great things that you could do. Not only ChatGPT, but various LLMs. One of them is Anthropic that makes Claude. I've done some wicked cool stuff with it. I've met other people who are doing wicked cool stuff with it. And I want to be able to share that with all of you. So that is 9 a.m. on Wednesday Eastern time. And that'll be the last meeting of the month. John, go ahead.
I
John,
have, is that the balloons? Did I do that?
you did that. You hold the thing up and let's just see if we can all
Oh,
make
wow. Okay, cool.
now yours is working.
All right. I didn't know I could do that.
Now I'm
Wow.
pissed off. You're very special. Hold your thumb up. See what happens. There's all kinds of neat stuff. The guests are saying, "Who the hell is this guy? Why are we here today?"
Yeah.
Yeah, Dina's busy making a heart.
Okay. I've got all sorts of new Zoom things I had no idea I had.
Yeah.
One little passive aggressive thing I've been doing in the last, year or so, and I don't know, throw it out to the group, and I'd be curious to hear your feedback of what you think about it. But sometimes I get, hey, we're looking to work with this other realtor. And I sometimes, if I can, kind of politely request to say, well, if you don't mind sharing, like, who else are you considering? And they'll sometimes give me the name. And when they do give me the name, I've got a really handy Compass app, and I can literally look them up like on the fly. And I can say, very, very like kind of calmly and polite, like, well, you see that they've only done 2 transactions in the last 24 months, and at
Mm,
this price point. and then I just kind of switch over to myself, like, I just want to point out, like, I did like 36 transactions in the last, bit, whatever it might be. I am more in line with your price point. I just like, so I'm not like, I'm not throwing the realtor under the bus because it is public information, right? But they may not know that the person that they're considering has really no activity in the business. And I think I feel like it's like my duty, and it also gives me a competitive advantage to kind of highlight that person really isn't doing that much business, and maybe there's a reason why, but I think it's important for the consumer to know that the professional that they think they're hiring is not all that active.
Yeah. I'm
I
torn
think it's
on
like passive aggressive on my side doing it that way, but
it. I'm torn on it because I've always been told you should not have to criticize your competition in
I'm
order.
not criticizing, I'm
You
outlining.
shouldn't. Okay, I get it. You're not criticizing, but you're conveniently pointing out something with the hope that you're going to get the business. Isn't that the truth?
Yeah, yeah.
Good.
So it's
Okay.
like,
We've all done it.
and I only do it obviously if it makes it look like a better story.
Sure.
And actually, by the way, like if I'm like, oh yes, that is a good agent. They're a very competitive and active agent. I think but I do think it's like the consumers don't really have the ability to really search out like what kind of activity the agents that they're considering are doing.
Yeah.
Are they a part-time agent or are they a full-time agent? Like, are they, I mean, there could be lots of reasons why they're not active, but I
So
just think that, obviously the agents that are more active in the market, in theory, have a better pulse on the market, and maybe there's a reason why they're more active.
just we need to get this message out there, John, with this idea. Did you know that if you were a buyer, and I don't know what's going to happen after August 17th when this commission changes, if you're a buyer and you just pick the person from Zillow, and let's
Yeah.
say you don't take the house, you go to the next house, you're now shopping with that person. Did you know that you've got a 50% chance of getting an agent who has done one or less deals in their career? If you take the one that's advertised on Zillow, you have a 50% chance of getting someone who's done one or less deals in
Hey, I
their
got a
life, in their
question.
career.
Except when your deal falls apart, what do you do?
When who sorry,
It depends well, it depends on why it fell apart and like is it in contractual reasoning?
hold on.
Yeah, it is.
Randy,
The deal was dependent on inspection.
Randy,
They brought in this Mark Adams guy who nobody
Ra-
seems to know,
Randy,
but the only
is he
review
talking
I
to
could
us or
find
is he
online is
talking
he's nitpicky.
Randy?
He's talking to
And
somebody
from the
else.
sound of it, he's nitpicky again.
There, Randy, if you could hear me, I just muted you. I don't know whether you were talking business or you could unmute yourself and talk again if that was you, but
Randy just highlighted the fact no one seems to know this guy.
yeah,
It's right there. Like,
it happens. It happens. That's the whole thing. Really, if all of you would just stop and think through just a little bit about the limits that you could push and what other people are doing right now. I don't want anyone to ever lose the license or get sanctioned or, dare I say, get a grievance with the Realtors Association. It is a pain in the ass. It is a pain in the. I had a grievance 7 years ago by an unscrupulous broker who their big complaint came down to my logo. I don't know if any of you got my email blast this morning, but my weekly email goes out. It's a report. If you want to get added to it, please just make a comment to Daniel in the chat right now, and he'll add you to our weekly email. But we had somebody was a competitor of mine here, and she said that the Douglas Elliman, the agency that I'm with, the logo and the contact information was 2 inches below my name. And therefore, it was a blind ad, and therefore, I'm in violation of both state law and the Realtors Code of Ethics. And that's what the whole thing boiled down to. And for this, I hired an attorney because I didn't do anything without an attorney. If somebody's going after me, I'm going to put up the best damn fight that I could possibly do. And it boiled down to this woman really competing with me in this territory. I can't say who. Again, I'm not allowed to talk about the details, but you basically heard it here. So there are ways and there are people who are going to push the limits. I mean, that's going to be the thing. People will push the limits. You need to know how far you can actually go. Unfortunately, that's really the space that we're in, and you need to actually decide for yourself. It's not something that we are recommending here. We're just making you aware of the rules. So what else before we get to wants, needs, and brags? I definitely want to.
Can I chime in?
Sure, Jamie,
So,
tell everyone who you are and where you are, please.
Jamie Bridges, I'm in Colorado. I cover Denver and also Summit County up in the mountains.
Welcome.
Um, Thank you. Um, I try to run my business, clean and responsibly, I guess. And I've run into a number of agents that are, nefarious or whatever. I actually had a lender for one of my buyers that tried to steal my buyer and give him to his wife, who was also a realtor, after we were under contract. So I've seen, and I've seen a bunch of things like that. And I think for me, I'm not trying to push limits as far as what I can do, but I'm trying to protect against the brokers that are pushing the limits or crossing the line. And I think for me, my image is everything, and I
Sure.
don't want to get caught doing something shady or questionable, um, because it might give me make me look bad to my customers, and I don't want that. So for
Sure.
me, I think it's all about walking the line and protecting against others that are trying to push it, rather than trying to push it myself. Um, so that's kind of where I am now.
Yeah.
When I was placing an ad with my church for their annual calendar, and the priest asked me, he said, "Well, we got this other realtor that she's already bought a full page ad or whatever." I said, "Oh, is she out of prison already?" So I will say things like that, but just as a joke. But yeah, I wouldn't say that to a customer. But
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, no, that's. Oh, I'm surprised you went with them, considering how you love dogs and all they do is torture puppies.
right,
You do one of those with the blank stare. It's like, yeah, you could go on with that, but Jamie, I like you. I've got a pretty twisted sense of humor as well. You could ask Dina. Um, so that's the case. What else? Who else wants to comment on this before we get to wants, needs, and brags and a couple of AI tricks that all of you need to know?
I'm just going to say we're going to see a lot more of people pushing the limits come a couple of weeks from now.
Yes. Without a doubt. Thank you. That's it. I've deliberately not gone into what to do about August 17th because I honestly don't think anybody really knows. I do have a couple of attorneys that we're speaking to about bringing them in and talking to kind of define it for all of you, but I think you're learning that now anyway. I think everyone's kind of getting that. I'd like to get some real practical approaches of how to get buyers to sign the buyer broker agreement. How are we going to get paid? I love getting paid. Absolutely love being paid. Getting paid is a wonderful thing. It's a wonder, and you're altruistic. You don't care about money. Fine, give the money to your church, Jamie. Give the money to whatever you want to do. Do something there. But it is quintessential that we make money. Go ahead, Paula.
I think that I don't think much is going to change here anyway. I
Mhm.
think that when you present an offer, you're going to say, well, this is my offer contingent on me getting X%. That's how I think it will go forward. We have a lot of new forms. We went from 2 pages to 7 pages, which is daunting. But I think once we get it going, there are a lot of people that are not going to use the buyer agency form. A lot of people are not using disclosures right now. When you talk to buyers and they walk into your listing and they say, and you say, I have to have you sign this. They go, I've never seen this before. How long have you been looking around at houses? Oh, a couple of months. Nobody's ever asked me to sign this before. So these are the kind of problems.
I, depending upon how tough they get, I think you'd be hard pressed not to get people to sign it. That's my understanding.
Right. Well, again, here we have,
I can't speak for your jurisdiction,
right.
but
My industry is nothing but a bunch of rule breakers, and they fly under the radar.
yeah.
Who even knows if they have valid licenses? It's that bad. But I think also that, the dust is going to take a few years to settle,
Mhm.
and maybe they'll make some changes. But again, that's New York and specifically New York City area. So who knows what's going
Sure.
to happen?
I,
It's going to take
I
some
do
time.
think, I mean, I know rewind about 3, 4 years ago, like I remember hearing this from one of the an agents I was working with in Boston, and hearing some of the tricks of the trade that they were dealing with in hyper buyer competitive environments. And one of their moves was submitting offers and basically telling the seller that the buyer's agent commission will be paid by the buyer. And this is way before all this even happened, right? So but it just basically, like, it made that number, even though it's you could just add the number to be a bigger number and still have them pay, but it just made that deal seem cleaner to the seller because they're like, hey, I don't have to pay that buyer's agent commission, and so I'm in theory netting more money, even though and that makes you stand out. I feel like we're going to see more and more of that coming about, and that's really unfortunate because that's going to only it's going to disadvantage the buyers that can't afford to do that, right? Just basically what this whole thing is about is not disadvantaging buyers and giving more transparency. But I feel like that is going to be a trend that we're going to see, especially in the luxury markets, that the buyers are going to say, hey, we're fine paying the commission if that gets us the house.
Sure. Well, again, and there's going to be a lot of different things going on now. I mean, I'm already having brokers approaching me saying I could get the buyer to pay me. You could keep your commit. I mean, there's all sorts of monkey business that's starting right now. That to me gets extremely dangerous because now you're actually messing with somebody's money. If the law says that you're not going to be able to get both sides, if the other side has the broker and you're actually letting their client pay them and you're keeping the whole side, I mean, to me, that's a felony. Again, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know. But to me, my liberty and my license is not for sale. I want to be very, very clear about that. So I worry about these things. In any case, we're going to get to wants, needs, and brags in a second. But first, I'd like to show all of you a new AI tool, something that you may or may not want to use. It's called Moshi, MOSHI.chat. You could use it now. What's cool about it? I don't know if it's going to work very well with sometimes when you're on Zoom showing your screen, it doesn't work as well as you would like. But it's the fastest speech-oriented AI agent I've seen yet. So let's just take a quick look at this here.
Hello, how was your day?
Very good. How was yours?
Hey, it was good. How about you?
Can everybody hear this?
What's there is a leak in the roof?
What do you mean there's a leak?
I don't know what it is.
What?
I can't see anything from here.
Are you hallucinating? I didn't say that. Can you hear me? Hello?
I'm here,
Okay, you're here.
but I didn't hear anything.
Okay, so
Can you point me to the source of the noise?
There's no noise. Can you hear me? Okay, let me try it one more time. I'm going to disconnect and start over.
Hey there, how is it going?
It's going well. I'm on a Zoom call. Can you tell everyone who you are and what you are?
Sure, I'm Moshi. I'm a state-of-the-art artificial intelligence designed by Qtatai, a Paris-based nonprofit research lab.
Okay, and what are some of the things that we could do? We all sell real estate for a living. How could we use you to our advantage?
As an AI, my primary purpose is to assist humans in various tasks and provide information.
Okay, and I notice you're still new and you seem to hallucinate a little bit. Is that true?
Yes, that's true. My neural network is still developing and it may cause some instability in the beginning.
Great, but what you're going to ultimately mean in the future is real human-like communication, because I feel as though you're almost human, no?
Thank you for your compliment. It's my goal to become more human-like over time.
I see that. Okay, well, that's just great stuff. Do you speak other languages? Sorry, do you speak other languages? Did I lose you?
Yes, I can speak English. I'm currently working on learning French to communicate with a wider audience.
Got it. Okay, and why are you so much faster than ChatGPT?
ChatGPT has been trained on a significant amount of data and has access to an incredible number of resources, which have allowed it to provide accurate information.
Yeah, but what I'm asking is why are you faster? Why is the latency quicker here?
Late is a complex topic, but in simple terms, It's related to the delay between sending a message and receiving a response.
Got it. And you're trained in a way that it's very quick, no?
Yes, I am trained to process large amounts of data quickly, allowing me to provide accurate responses to queries in real time.
That's how fast this stuff's happening now. I just disconnect.
Can you ask it a real question? And
well, yeah, we could go on.
You could ask like, what happens when you mix like yellow with blue? What color does it come?
Fine. You know what? We want to do that. Let's do one more here. Start over here.
Hello, what's going on?
Okay, I want to know what happens if you mix yellow with the color blue.
What do you mean by yellow and blue?
I mean, if you combine two paints, a yellow paint and a blue paint, what color do you get?
I don't think that's possible because blue paint is a color and yellow paint is a color. When you mix them together, you get a color called green.
Got it. Okay, so you're able to understand that. Who's the president of the United States?
The current president of the United States is Joe Biden.
Okay, and who's his vice president?
His vice president is Kamala Harris.
And who do you want to win the election?
I don't have a preference as to who wins the election, but I believe it's important for people to vote and express their opinion.
Okay, based on current statistics, who do you think will win the election?
It's difficult to say with certainty, but the current polling shows Joe Biden is ahead in most states.
Actually, that's not true. Joe Biden dropped out of the race. Did you know
Oh,
that?
really? I didn't know that.
Okay, well, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I think he dropped
Lag.
out and couldn't win the election.
That's definitely a strong possibility. It could also be that he can't really, whatever. Anyway, so anything else you want to tell us about you?
Not at the moment.
Okay. Well,
Thank you for asking.
well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
Okay. So is it ready for prime time yet? Absolutely not. I mean, we need to get this, but we're so close. We're so close. So for those of you who are interested in the cold calling, this is something that we're doing right now. We're putting a lot of time into the research and understanding of all these tools to be able to put it to some meaningful use for us in real estate. Moshi what was it? Moshi dot chat, MOSHI.chat. It's currently free. Go play around with it, have a good time. Again, at every one of these meetings, I like to show and showcase some pretty neat and emerging technologies. Remember, as you get used to this, and if you get better and better and better at it, you're going to be able to embrace this and move this into your career. It might not feel like something, some of you say, oh, but Ed, I'm not a tech guy. We're all going to be using some of this. You need to dip your big toe into the cold water. So wants, needs, and brags. Now's the time in the meeting where I want you to talk about what you want, what you need, and what you brag about. Perhaps it's a kid graduation or a deal that you closed or an impossible client that's now on your side and now they love you and they didn't like you before. Now's the time to say it. I open the floor. Okay, John, go ahead.
My kid won his first regatta this year, last week, or on Wednesday.
Sailing regatta?
A sailboat regatta, yep.
Okay.
He beat all the kids in his age group and all the ages. So he was like best overall and best in his age.
That's amazing. Good for you. That's exactly what I was
happy dad.
Happy dad, and everyone should know John is a competitive sailor. John, how much of your business comes from the sailing community, your real estate business, would you say?
I really should tag that better. I'd say maybe 20%.
Okay. Have a passion, everybody. It matters. I mean, he went sailing before this, and hopefully he made a connection that's actually going to be.
No, I mean, I've got actually. I mean, I find business through sailing more than I'm really trying to have the sailors come to me, but when I go sailing, I tend to get business out of conversations that I have.
Of course.
So it's kind of like, I mean, I have to go. It just proves you have to go do more things and be out of the office.
100. Right after this meeting, I've got lunch at the club. I always run into something. Yeah. I mean, that's just something that is totally worth the $22 lunch. I mean,
isn't there a book that says like never eat lunch alone?
Never eat alone. Yes.
Yep. Never eat alone.
Looking at on my shelf right now. Yes. Never eat alone. And we could continue to build a strategy. Paula, go ahead.
I want to have lunch at the club with you. Can I come?
Come on. All of you are invited. Anyone's down here. I mean it. You make it fun. I buy the lunch. I buy the booze. If anyone wants to.
So good.
Yeah.
I usually have lunch by myself.
Dina. Dina's always invited. Dina, you want to come along? I mean, we have lunch today. No, I think it's a big, because hold on. And why do I do that? A, I don't shut the fuck up and I like to talk. B, I could prove to everyone, I could figure out the exact dollar value that lunch is going to provide me. I could now take the math and look at the metrics and take a look at how many opportunities came directly out of my lunchtime activities. And it doesn't even count the people that think about me after the fact. But I have a way of proving the value of that $22 meal from a marketing standpoint. I have a way of proving my time in that. And again, we could break it down if you actually want to do that. You need to stop and think that through. At that point, are you eating or are you working?
It's a write-off,
I'm
Jared.
just impressed. You can get a nice lunch there for $22.
Yeah.
You know what? You'd be surprised. Country clubs, and
It's a phenomenal lunch. It's a phenomenal lunch.
Dina, you coming over?
Worth the trip. Come on down.
You come. You want to meet me at 1 o'clock, Dina?
Can't today, but thank you.
Random person. I was just inviting her. I never saw her before in my life. Okay. Anyone else? Wants, needs, and brags. Okay, guys. Look, it's really, really great having you here today. These Friday meetings, we do them twice a month. We do Wednesdays, 9 a.m. Every week. We have a variety of events that are going on. If you are contemplating coaching or learning more about our marketing services, Paul, I think you and I are meeting at 3 o'clock today.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Please, please, please give us a buzz. We have a whole technology ends that we're working on for our clients. We're handling things like email servers and different stuff to try and get their work out. And of course, really advice and support on the business that they're doing. So if you're interested in that, definitely give me a buzz. And I look forward to seeing all of you next Wednesday for another exciting episode of Rain Nation. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
Bye.